A king once lived in his kingdom called Mahishmati. He was a just king and generous too. His subjects loved him. Although the king was very virtuous, he was inexperienced in battle skills. Daily he would go to practice with his commanders, but he would quit as noon as it got difficult. Even though his commanders taught him about how a king must have never give up attitude, he would just nod and say that he would, but he never did. One morning King wakes up to the sound of horns blaring. His soldier informs him that an enemy nation, named Raydurga, has attacked them. Although the king was a quitter, he was a brave one. He gets suited up and goes to battle. The battle is intense and he gets hit by an arrow. King panics and runs away from the battlefield. Watching their king run away, the morale of the soldiers of Mahishmati is lost. So the soldiers retreat back to the castle and the Raydurga lays siege to the castle.
The king wakes up in a cave, water dripping. He is tired and cleaning his wound. All kinds of thoughts are running through his mind. Why did he quit? Why did he run away, leaving his men behind? Then his attention shifts to a spider weaving its web. Water keeps dripping on the web and the web would keep breaking. Suddenly the king feels hungry and goes outside to find food. He ventures deep into the forest. Just then an arrow hits the tree right in front of the eyes. The king is scared to death and runs quickly back to his cave. He drinks some water and lies down. He falls asleep and wakes up in the morning. He finds sunrays hitting his eyes. He holds his hand to block the sun. He sees the spider trying to weave the web while water's still dripping. But he sees that the web is more complete than the last time he saw. Few days pass and the king has a routine now. Waking up, go to forest to find food, return to cave and watch spider do its work. One day he wakes up and goes to forest to find food as usual. Today he finds an armor and horse trail. He follows it. He keeps going deep into the forest. Soon he starts to hear horses and people talking. He quietly moves towards the sound. He hides behind a tree and is amazed to see a lot of people, like a village. Kids playing, people practicing archery. Also, he finds a few tents. Just as he thinks to move towards the tent, a hand falls on his shoulders, so quickly the king turns to see whom. Bomb. A punch lands on King's face. King falls on the ground, his vision blurs out and quickly falls unconscious. As King opens his eyes, his hands are tied and people are gathered around him and 5 people are sitting in front of him. One among the 5, the tallest guy named Raghubar, asks the king that what is he doing this deep in the forest and who he is. The king explains his situation, that how he was attacked by the Raydurga kingdom. Coincidentally, Raghubar also tells that even his kingdom was attacked and taken away by plotting minister who was a puppet of Raydurga. Since then they have been regrouping to retaliate. King then feels sad and tells that he let his people down by quitting in the battle. Raghubar gets up and put his hand on King's shoulder and says they would help him to get back his kingdom, while he would do same for them. Raghubar and King are practicing sword fighting. Just then Raghubar lands a kick on King's chest and he falls down and throws away his sword and says, "I'm done." Raghubar says, "What, that's it? What would your people think about that?" King says, "I'm sorry, but I'm going to fail again." Raghubar asks the king to come here and takes him to a spider web. Raghubar says, "We can learn a lot about character from a spider. Despite how many times it fails, it never stops trying." Just then King also remembers about the cave spider, how it kept weaving even though water made it difficult. Just then a glimmer of hope rises in the king's eyes. He was a changed man. King hugs Raghubar and bids goodbye to him and leaves. It's pitch black and King slowly moves towards the Raydurga soldiers' camp, which is around the castle of Mahishmati. King silently tackles an enemy soldier and puts on his uniform and starts quietly moving towards the castle whilst passing enemy tents, one by one. He goes close to the back of castle where enemy soldiers are very few. King sees Mahishmati guard soldier and slowly goes towards him. The guard sees him and raises his weapon. Guard bows down and takes the king secretly inside the castle. He walks directly to the conference room where the commanders are discussing. They quickly bow when they see the king, and shed tears of happiness. They all hug and king says he is all right. Next morning the castle gates open and army marches out with the king leading the attack. Intense battle breaks out. But Raydurga hits back hard on Mahishmati's defenses. King fires an arrow on fire to a boulder, which sets ablaze. Just then Raghubir and his soldiers march out of forest and start attacking. A joined forces of kings and Raghubir stand strong and surround Raydurga's army completely. Enemy, king accepts the defeat and pledges to give Raghubir's kingdom back and promises never to attack again. All the soldiers are happy and chants the king's name in joy. The king hugs Raghubir and thanks him for the man he is and helping him win his kingdom back.